Tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. And right about now, remember to like, subscribe to this channel. More content on its way to you soon. Hit the notification so you can be notified when we drop the new content. So this one, I'm just going to speak to you now about two other good fights that happened on the undercard of Joshua Buatsi versus Marco Kalic. First of all, we had the ladies who we had Chantelle Cameron versus Adriana Araujo, and that was all I can say about that fight is it was a masterclass by Chantelle Cameron. Araujo obviously was having severe problems making weight. She weighed in at like 10 stone 5 for the fight, and you know, it was a bit of a nuisance for Chantelle Cameron because, you know, Chantelle Cameron was about a pound under. I think she was about 9'13" or something, you know, weight limit of 10 stone. So Chantelle was, you know, right on the weight, you know, made it brilliantly. But unfortunately, Araujo was just, you know, she just didn't make the weight, and, you know, she looked a bit overweight, a bit podgy in the fight. And yeah, with this fight, it was very, very straightforward, really. Chantelle Cameron just shut out Araujo from the opening bell. She, you know, opening bell, you know, Chantelle comes middle of the ring, you know, fast combinations, flashy combinations, straight punches. You know, she shows a good variation of shots upstairs and downstairs. She realized pretty early on that she wasn't going to be able to get Araujo out of there, because Araujo, although she didn't make the weight, you could see a few significant things about her. You could see she definitely looked the physically bigger. She was definitely the physically bigger, and I guess she was probably the physically stronger, because God knows what she came into the ring at. I don't know what weight she actually came into the ring at, but yeah, she was unable to win it on the in the ring, because obviously she missed the weight. But yeah, this was a real good showcase by Chantelle Cameron. She was just pretty much boxing on the outside for the most part. She's normally a girl that comes forward and has a scrap, but in this fight, facing such a sort of strong, heavy opponent, you know, she had to switch her approach a little bit, and she did it so well. I mean, this is a, you know, definitely a great performance to win this WBC world title. You know, it was just pretty much an easy one to even analyze, really. You know, it was just Cameron was just landing at will, just boom, 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 boom. And Adriana Araujo, she was about, I don't know, about 3 steps behind. You know, she just seemed very slow, and she was just sort of plodding after Chantelle Cameron. You know, she wasn't really ever at any point in this fight able to sort of keep up with Chantelle Cameron. I think you know, the difference in speed was just unbelievable. I mean, it was just like a joke. You know, Cameron would land 3 or 4, and you know, this girl would just sort of attempt to land 1, but she was you know, this Araujo she was that slow that she just couldn't really land anything on Chantelle Cameron. It was just, you know, very, very, you know, Chantelle Cameron just won it by a very wide margin. You know, she just put on a brilliant boxing display. Didn't allow Araujo to really get into the fight or really do anything. You know, she was just too fast and too accurate with her punches. And yeah, beautiful, good display of boxing. Masterclass for the ladies boxing. It was one of them where it wasn't competitive at all. The fight was just completely and utterly one-sided in Chantelle Cameron's favor. And yeah, congratulations to her as she wins it. It was actually 100-90 on every judge's scorecard. They didn't give Adriana Araujo one round, and I think, to be fair, that's accurate for my liking. Because she was just unable to catch Chantelle Cameron. She was unable to pin her down. She didn't have any ideas of how to attack this fight, how to approach it. She was just sort of plodding after her and missing everything, and far too slow, and that was what it was. So congratulations to Chantelle Cameron on that one. And then another fight that took place, of course, Alen the Savage Babic. And he just done what he did. He fought this guy, Niall Kennedy, who's, he's half decent, he's all right. And again, this was just another one of these performances where Babic just pretty much walked in. He had a little bit of a guard, but for the most part, he was just walking into Niall Kennedy and just winging away. That's what the Savage does. It was a typical performance. I mean, he tried to get to Kennedy in the very first round, and sort of, it got to him a little bit, but it wasn't able to do too much. Kennedy showed, a bit of a chink in the armor of the Savage, in that, he threw a decent jab, and when you throw a decent jab, decent straight shots, you can sort of keep the Savage at bay. But the Savage eventually just sort of walked him down in a second, tried to get rid of him. No, didn't quite do it. And then in the third, the second, he nearly got rid of Kennedy, but in the third round, just clapped him up with some shots. As usual, these wide hooks and uppercuts, and that's all he really throws, the Savage. He doesn't bother with a jab, and yeah, it worked again for him. He just put Niall Kennedy to rest in this one, and yeah, it's another one of them sort of fan-friendly wins. It was pretty much straightforward. You can see with Babic that he's if he sort of steps up in levels, I believe he will be in some serious trouble, because the guys at the sort of top level of heavyweight boxing, even a guy like let's say a Chisora, you couldn't approach Chisora the same way that he's approached Kennedy, just sort of walking in, no real defenses, just trying to wing away with hooks and uppercuts. Because at the end of the day, a guy like Chisora or any of these big heavyweights, they'll have you up, they'll eat you for breakfast, because he's kind of he's on the smaller side. He weighed in actually as a cruiserweight. I think he weighed in 14 stone 3, which is the cruiserweight limit is 14 stone 4. So he weighed in actually as a cruiserweight. So he's one of them guys where, it'll be interested to see what he does going forward. Whether if he steps up in levels, I think they're talking about Tom Little next, which will be that would be an interesting fight. But I fancy Babic to knock Tom Little out as well, because Tom Little he might be able to spoil, he might be able to make it a little bit difficult for Babic, but I think at the end of the day, Babic is just going to get to him and take him out inside the distance. He's just too ferocious, and yeah, is too explosive for a Tom Little. I think it will be a good little test, but I think he's too explosive. Kennedy tried his best here, but he's just not of that caliber or of the level that you need to be to challenge a guy like Babic. I think Babic is he's got to sort of, he's got to fight some sort of higher level guys in order to get challenged. I think these guys, they're not going to do nothing for him. I don't blame him anyway. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that was his 5th fight or 4th fight or something. 5th fight, I think it is, yeah. So it's all right. You can have these knockover jobs so early in your career, it's fine. And yeah, it was another decent win for the Savage. There's a few flaws that have been exposed defensively, but I think genuinely that these flaws are sort of coming out because he just genuinely doesn't respect what's being put in front of him. He just genuinely sort of knows that he's going to overpower these guys. He knows that who he's fighting right now, they're not on his level. They don't, punch hard enough to trouble him. They're guys that, okay, they might be quite tough and, but they're kind of, sort of journeyman types. They're not the type that are really of the caliber where he's really got to be switched on them. So he's literally just walking through punches and just landing his own, and he doesn't bother with a jab. It's just pure power shots, and I think that's why people love to watch the Savage. That's why I like watching the Savage, and yeah, congratulations to him again on it. It was another decent win for him. He done what he's supposed to do, got the job done in the early rounds, and value for money to watch. So we'll see what happens as he steps up in levels. I think he will be in problems, but it'll be a great ride getting there. Wish him all the best in the next one. So, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. I shall see you next time.